Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Karate Does Jiu-Jitsu. My name is Patrick Prager, and I'm bringing you a new video of some training rounds with my black belt coaches. I'm a longtime black belt in a karate style called American Tong Soo and a Jiu-Jitsu purple belt. Let's see what lessons can be learned from training with these talented black belts in Jiu-Jitsu. First up, we have my round with Coach Sergio Machado, a longtime competitor, an excellent black belt, and I've been trying to start my round standing against him more recently as I've been doing competitions of my own. He's very hard to take down, and the first thing I notice is my lack of posture. A lot of times I'm hunched over or my head is low, and I'm also shooting my takedowns from too far away. So he's able to use these grips to effectively stop me, and you see the difference there is he commits fully to his knees and shoots his essentially collar drag into a single leg takedown and effectively takes me to the ground. Sergio is a master of knee on belly and knee ride. So as he establishes his side control here, my main goal is to really protect my elbows. I recently lost in the finals of the Jiu-Jitsu World League Worlds Tournament from a Kimura in the finals. And ever since then, I've noticed that hole in my game. And that's one of the benefits from actually filming your own rounds is you can see these things you need to fix and change that you might not notice in the heat of the moment. So I try to film all of my rounds and watch them back. And you see that I'm really focusing on protecting my arms, even in spite of him being on top of me. That's my number one goal. So he settles his weight on me. Sergio is one of the best pressure fighters I've faced, and he's constantly putting a ton of pressure on you. I'm trying to make sure I don't get flattened out here. So anytime he's on top of me, you see that I'm going towards my side. But he knows this, and he's looking to control that near side leg. Even as I try to strip this grip, he steps over into mount position, and now I'm in a bad spot. You can see I'm flattened out here. So I want to get over to my left shoulder and get both of my arms to one side so I can effectively push on his leg there. He's threatening my neck with an Ezekiel choke and is putting a ton of pressure on my chest and hips, but I managed to get to my side here. I know he's going to either attack my collar or go for my arm, so I'm trying to be mindful of both of these and keep myself protected until I can find a way to create some movement in a scramble. I keep circling and manage to kind of wrestle my way up here. Every time I think I'm about to get a pass, Sergio reverses it, and we're back to standing. Now, what's interesting and what I've noticed in rounds against people better than me is when my energy is high, I'm able to maybe at my current skill level defend against their attacks initially. But as the rounds go on and I get fatigued, their attacks become more and more effective, and they're sticking to their A game. So just because it didn't work early in a round doesn't mean it's not going to work later. So you'll see here, I mentioned earlier that my posture was a problem, and Sergio notices my posture there, manages to use that against me, off balance me, and he's back to that pressure. While I've been trying to protect my arms the entire fight and make sure I'm not flattened, with my lower energy level now, Sergio managing to be on top the entire round, he's definitely going to be much fresher. And there's that knee ride. My arms, you can see, are not up protecting my neck, and I'm getting a little sloppier in my movements here. So with my right arm just hanging out here, Sergio is being patient, and he's going to go ahead and isolate that arm in a second here. There it is. Sits back for that arm bar, and his patience pays off with a submission. Next up, we have some rounds with my main coach. His name is James Ulath, and he's a black belt under Alberto Crane, a UFC veteran, and a no-gi jiu-jitsu world champion. James received his black belt the year in which I opened my studio, and I hired him. He's been a coach at my gym ever since. Excellent guy, excellent coach. So the first thing you'll probably notice is how completely different he is to Coach Sergio. James is, first of all, much bigger and taller and has a guard-based style. So he is happy to be on his back. He tries the sumigeshi there, which often works against me, but he's just happy being here on his back in his half guard. With his length, he's able to get that belt grip, which is the bane of my existence and something I'm still working on trying to defeat. And you see the damage it does to me right away, right? I'm looking here for kind of a crab ride position, but he exposed my back, and it's already in big trouble for me. So my next goal is to scoop my hips out, making sure he can't control my hips. And as I'm getting my shoulders towards the mat, I'm not really in danger of a rear naked choke here, but of course a cross collar choke is always an issue. He has that Kimura grip on my arm, but with movement, I managed to bail on that. So my back is pretty much to the mat here, but James is going to come up on top and already flattening me out of my back. The thing that James and Sergio both share, and something that I've noticed a lot of black belts share, is their absolute patience. So sometimes when I'm on top, I'm in a hurry to create a movement or scramble. And instead of waiting for my opponent, who is on the bottom and feeling my weight and pressure, to make a mistake, I'll try to force something. James here is just waiting for me to make a mistake. And that's something I want to highlight here, and definitely my big takeaway as I'm watching these videos back against black belts, is their patience. So on this next one, we start on our knees, kind of just for safety. But as often happens, one person stands up, the other person stands up, and we start standing anyway. So once again, James is happy to kind of pull guard here. Let me work from this half guard position. He's controlling my right sleeve, which is an issue. And he also has that belt grip on the front this time. He loads me up on his hips and manages to sweep me. I look for a wrestle up here, and he's threatening the darce. So I'm really trying to protect my neck, but he has a good grip now on his bicep, and manages to finish this pretty quickly in the round. And one thing I appreciate about rolling with my coach James here is, after submission, he'll kind of sit and chat with me about it a little bit. He was asking if that was a crush or a choke, and it was definitely a choke, not a crush at all on my neck. But I can see why he thought that, because I kind of twisted into an odd position. So we're just downloading what happened a little bit, and then we get back to it, starting on our knees again. What I'm trying to do is control his distance and grips a little bit. I'm looking for that belt grip of my own, and we end up in our familiar half guard position. So even though I have kind of a cross face grip here, he's not too concerned about it. He's not flat on his back at all, so it's not having a great effect on him, and he's very comfortable in that knee shield. James is really good about loading up one direction and the other direction. If a sweep doesn't work one way, he'll do the other, and I'm laughing because he saw the camera there, gave us a little thumbs up, and then swept me anyway. And that's going against a black belt for you, right? Sometimes they're just playing with you, and there's nothing you can do about it. But that's jiu-jitsu. We got to get out there, get better, and that's some of the joy of it. So similar to my rounds against Sergio, I'm making sure I'm not flat on my back here, and I'm trying to kind of pummel and play with my legs. Looking to reestablish some form of guard, and eventually I want to start to create some movement. My strength against these guys that are bigger and way more than me is to create movement, because I trust my scrambles, and that's something I do take away from my karate experience, is kind of my footwork and my scramble ability, which is very difficult when you got someone bigger on top of you. So I want to look to create some sort of movement and scramble here, and we'll see if I manage to get that at all going. So I'm kind of biding my time here. I switch my hips and I look to invert. I want to threaten his back here and get a decent look at it, but at the same time, he is also threatening a knee bar, so I have to be aware of that. The timer runs out. It would have been fun to see where it went from there. Probably would have been caught in a knee bar, but I would have loved to have a little experience chasing that back as well. So my main takeaway as I'm watching these rounds back with you is, one, the patience that black belts show. They're not in any rush when they're in a dominant position. They don't need to force anything. Eventually, through their pressure and proper control, an opening is going to evolve, and it's about knowing the technique and knowing the timing of how to exploit that. And that'll come with training and experience. So if you got this far in the video, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that's a helpful takeaway for you as well. Sometimes it's valuable to scramble and create those opportunities, but don't be afraid to slow things down and capitalize on opportunities that you create with your dominant positions. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time.